So guys, there's a major update on the UK indefinite leave to remain process, especially the proposed 10-year route. So stay with me, let's go straight into the details of what this means for migrants moving forward, what the update is, and how you and I as migrants in the UK can lend our voice. My name is Tochi, you're welcome to my channel. Please like this video, give it a thumbs up as you're watching, so YouTube can recommend it to more people because it's very, very important. And do well to share it to every migrant or everyone that it will benefit. To all my returning subscribers, you guys are amazing. You're welcome back to today's video. If you're yet to subscribe, please click on the subscribe button right now. Thank you. I'm sure most of us are all aware of the proposed changes that the government have introduced, especially regarding ILR. First of all, they plan to increase the term for ILR from 5 years to 10 years, so it's double the time. They are also planning to increase the standard level for English language required for ILR as well. Even for the exam life in the UK test, they're also planning to make some changes to it. In fact, everything you know about getting ILR in the UK right now, the government is planning to make changes to it. And they are also planning to introduce something new that they call the endpoint-based system, where, you know, the amount of your contributions to the society and the economy and every other thing can actually determine if you're going to get it faster or not. Now, what exactly is the update right now? What's new? And how can we lend our voice to this particular topic? The Home Affairs Committee has launched a new inquiry to examine the government's proposals to reform the eligibility criteria for indefinite leave to remain. So basically, they're calling on you and I to actually give our evidence why we think it should still be 5 years. So, you know, the impact you're making in the UK as a migrant and how you think this 10-year plan is going to affect you and all of that. You have to literally lend your voice to this topic because it makes a whole lot of difference. So they're actually calling on all of us to lend our voice to this so that you don't say that they didn't consider us or they didn't consider your voice. They practically want to put everything together and see how they can make this work so that it's going to be fair. Now, the government has announced plans to make major changes to the eligibility criteria for ILR. It has argued that these changes will help ensure that immigrants make a proportionate contribution to the UK before they are granted the benefits associated with settlement. Okay, well, I don't know why I just keep talking about this point-based system. If you've been following me, I'm sure you understand that. Because from my point, I just feel like, who exactly is not contributing? On what basis are you going to say, oh, this person is more qualified or this person is contributing more to the economy than this person? Everybody who is working is paying their taxes. I'm really eager to know exactly how they're going to categorize these things, who according to them they feel is contributing and who according to them is not contributing. So I guess that's why they're calling all of us to give our evidence. So these are some of the things that if you're going to be writing, you should consider when you're giving your evidence, you know. So the government has indicated that factors to be considered will include being at work. So who is not at work? Making national insurance contribution. Again, who is not making national insurance contribution? And contributing to the local community, such as through volunteering. And this volunteering is a new criteria that the government just introduced. And they have not really given us the details of this volunteering, how many times a week you have to volunteer, who has to volunteer. They've just not given us the details of that one yet. They've already even announced the English language requirement for a skilled worker visa right now, but they haven't really said anything about the one for indefinite leave to remain that dependents have to write. I don't know if the one for skilled worker visa automatically translates to dependent, but they didn't really say. So we're still waiting for them to give us more details on the new proposals and their new plans. You know, so in this new inquiry, the Home Affairs Committee will examine the evidence base for making changes to the indefinite leave to remain criteria and their potential impact. So please make sure that you give your evidence. Okay, we're going to go into details of how you can do that as we progress. This will include how much proposals would affect current immigration levels, as well as the broader impact on the economy, integration, and migrant households. So you're going to give your evidence on how this is going to affect you as an immigrant in the UK, how it's going to affect your household, how it's going to affect your family, how it's going to affect your life, you know. So just basically how this 10-year proposed ILR is going to affect you or impact you, whether negatively or positively. And when the government initially released the immigration white paper, where they made this proposal saying that they want to increase time for ILR from 5 years to 10 years, they obviously said that consultation is going to be ongoing. They haven't given any details on this, but shortly after that, BBC released an article that is going to affect thousands of migrants in the UK. Okay, we didn't know where that information came from, if they got it from the government, or I don't know how they got that information, but that really raised an uproar, like, how is this going to affect those in the UK? Why should it affect those already in the UK on a 5-year pathway? When you were getting your skilled worker visa, it was clearly stated, you clearly knew that after 5 years on these routes, you're likely going to get your ILR. So how come the government now wants to change that? They'll not tell you, oh, sorry, it's no longer 5 years, you have to wait a few more years. If you've done 2 years already, for example, they're not going to tell you, sorry, you have to wait for 8 more years, you have to, that is no longer 5 years, it's now 10 years. So a lot of people were concerned, and this caused thousands of people to actually sign the petition that was debated recently. We all followed the news, we're following that, right? You see in that debate, more Hong Kong citizens wrote to their MPs than skilled workers did. Yes, skilled workers did, but we could feel the impact. We could feel that Hong Kong people came out in their numbers to respond to that. They wrote to their MPs, giving them their evidence. So now we have to write directly to these people. So everybody, as you're watching this video, share it to your family and friends, to everybody, so everybody can, give their evidence. For those that are eligible to do so, can give your evidence, and let's see how it goes. Okay, fingers crossed. So launching the inquiry, then Karen Bradley said, changing the rules governing who has the right to indefinite leave to remain is likely to have a complex and wide-ranging impact. We have launched this inquiry to understand how well the government's proposal will help them achieve their goals for immigration and their broader policy aims. We will not just examine how it will affect immigration in the UK, but wider questions about the economy, integration, and the impact of those looking to apply to live and work in the UK. So a lot of people are just saying, let it not affect those in the UK already. It's okay if you want to change it, but let it be for new applicants. If you're going to be making a new application, at least you now know that it's 10 years. It will take you 10 years working and living in the UK to get ILR. So it's up to you if you still want to apply or not. But just coming now to change it for those that are already here, that came with the mindset of getting ILR after 5 years, is going to be very, very unfair, and it's going to be like a breach of trust, So written submissions are invited, and the deadline for submission is 2nd of December. These are the potential impacts of changes to pathways to settlement. What evidence is there on the effect that pathways to settlement have on immigration and rates of settlement? Who is the likely impact of longer route settlement of businesses and employers, including international recruitment of higher skilled workers? What is the likely impact of longer routes and stricter requirements for settlement on migrant households already in the UK? This would include financial, economic impacts, including access to benefits, and personal and social impacts as well. And then what potential effects could changes to eligibility for settlement have on integration? What evidence is there from other countries on the above issues? So, and also how the new end settlement rule the government talked about could work. How should long-term contribution to the UK be defined and quantified when considering pathways to settlement? This could include how the following elements should be defined and weighted: social and community contributions, fiscal and economic contributions. What exemptions should there be to the new rules? How have other countries applied contribution-based systems? So please note that the committee is unable to consider or assist with individual cases, and this inquiry does not form part of the government's consultation on the planned changes to indefinite leave to remain. The Home Affairs Committee is a cross-party committee of MPs responsible for scrutinizing the work of the Home Office and its associated bodies. The committee is independent from the Home Office and from the government. So you should note that, and that this inquiry is currently accepting evidence and is going to close on the 2nd of December 2025, right? So this is how you can submit your evidence, and here this is where you can submit your evidence and everything, how it should go. So here you can start what is required of you, what the writing requires. Your submission should be concise. If it's over 3,000 words, you should include a short summary as well, and include an introduction to you or your organizations and your reason for submitting evidence. Your submission should not have been published anywhere already. These include blogs, newspaper articles, website, journals, for example. And then the file you upload must be less than 25 MB, be a single word, contain no logos. You can go through it, right? This is just the guideline for submitting your evidence, how it should go and what it must be, you know. So if you need help to send your evidence, just contact them here. And then what happens to your evidence? For those that will be asking, okay, why should I actually submit my evidence? Why would they even consider me, seeing that they've already said it's independent of the government and of the Home Office? So why? So this is what will happen to your evidence, okay? Your evidence will usually be published online. You read your evidence and use it to help the committee's inquiry. The committee can also use or quote from your evidence in its reports, which will be published on our web pages. If your evidence is published, it says public forever. This means other people will be able to see and read what you send us. Your name or your organization's name will usually be published too. The committee does not have to accept your evidence or publish what you send us. We would email you to let you know what's happening to your evidence. And then in certain circumstances, you can ask us to keep your details anonymous or your submission confidential. For example, you might do this if your evidence contains very personal information about you or your family. You can make this request if necessary when you upload your evidence, right? So it's just for them to know firsthand how this is going to affect migrant families, how this is going to affect us as migrants if they, you know, eventually change it to 10 years, and why they should leave it at 5 years as well. Right? This is a very sensitive issue. You guys know all the restrictions that comes with being on a visa. Let me not even start mentioning them. We all know that. All the restrictions, visa restrictions, you can't really do so much. You're constantly watching your back. You're literally walking on eggshells. You're just trying to be very careful, sticking to your visa rules. You don't want to do too much. You know, you have limited out. You have to work for that's your job. If you even have a business idea, you can't do it. You can't really do so much to make extra income because of the conditions of your visa, right? Now, imagine being on that restriction for 10 whole years. So while being on that skilled worker visa, for example, for 10 whole years, you're just not even sure. And one mistake like this can just get your whole life crumbling before you. And that's after you have spent 10 whole years in the UK. So I guess these are some of the things the government is considering and just trying to weigh all the options and what the outcomes will be before they finally hit us with the news of what that decision is. I think it's just an opportunity for everyone to be able to just lend their voice to this topic. And we already lending our voices. We have signed the petition. We have done a lot of things. We can obviously still do more while this is still in the decision-making process, right? So far there are 8 current inquiries, so you can add yours as well. So guys, that's it. I just thought to inform you guys, to let you know what's going on. I always try to keep you guys updated, whether good or bad. Whatever comes up, I'm always here to let you know. For everyone that is busy working, you don't have time to check the government websites, you don't have time to follow updates or trending news, don't worry about that. It's okay. That's why you have me. I'm here for you. I got you. Don't worry. Those who would like to give their evidence, is not compulsory. You don't have to. But if you would like to, knowing what the evidence will be used for, you're free to give your evidence. And I think I've also showed you guys how you can do that, the process to follow, the guideline and everything. So yeah, that is this. Will you be giving your evidence? You even think it's necessary to give your evidence? Do you think it will influence whatever the outcome will be eventually? So guys, let me know what you think in the comment section. Thank you everyone for watching. See you all in my next video. Bye bye.